I grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, or just outside in a place called Dormont, where we had streetcars running right behind my parents' house. So I took transit from the time I was little, both streetcars and buses. My friends and I used to get on for 35 cents and would pay in nickels and pennies. That's how I got around. Everybody took transit, and I loved the streetcars. Not just rail, but I took the bus all the time as well. And Pittsburgh had a bus system that didn't always travel on the streets, but also went through the tunnels with light rail or streetcars at the same time. So it was just a fun experience, and I've always wanted to be involved in transportation. Probably in the transit business now for 35 years. Got my feet wet being a construction inspector, working for the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation, similar to UDOT here. Did that during all my summers and was a project manager, and then ended up coming out to California and started working for a transportation firm, and immediately got placed on a project that taught me all the different facets of transportation. I also did a lot of work in service planning and designing routes and creating shuttle services and working on operating cost models, so a whole variety of things while I was there. And then I got the job at Santa Clara Valley Transportation Authority, where we were responsible by state legislation to integrate transportation with land use to provide not just less congestion, but also for air quality improvements as well, which meant doing all the long-range transit plans and transportation plans. So I also worked on the highway side as well, and bicycle and pedestrian as well, and particularly in those areas, connections to transit. All those facets were part of developing the project to get it moving into construction. Being in the transit industry, you are constantly looking at your peer agencies, and Utah has always been one that I've looked at. VTA was roughly the same size as UTA, but UTA has always been sort of a leader in innovating and moving forward. So today, going out to Meadowbrook and visiting the facility at 4 a.m. this morning and meeting employees on my first day of work was really fun. I do want to continue to do that and go to all the divisions and visit the workforce. My impression of the people who work here has just been wonderful. I mean, I came for the second interview and got to meet a number of the employees, and just the pride that they take in their work, the enthusiasm, the productivity, the way they tend to be innovative and bringing ideas forward is so important in a workforce that you want to be able to keep them happy and continue to provide those resources that they need to do their job. To do that, we need all the employees to be part of that. And some people asked about what is your 90-day vision or your 60-day vision. I don't really want to do that alone. I want to do that working with my team, my management team, as well as the employees, as well as some of the stakeholders, and then define exactly what that 60-day, 90-day vision plan is, or what I'd like to accomplish in that first year. It's very important that they're a part of it. In the next coming years, we will really have to collaborate with the stakeholders. UTA needs to be present at the table in terms of how this area grows, and we should be present and working with our stakeholders. I do want to hear from the riders. That's important for me. Maybe one-on-ones with me, trying to go out to those communities and hearing from the riders. I want UTA to be one of the first options that a person would consider for traveling in this region. A lot of transit agencies are struggling to try to figure out how do they stay relevant with all the other types of modes coming out, ride shares, TNCs that are there. How do you stay relevant? How do you use the technology to do that? And I think that UTA is really poised to also take advantage of that, and they have. I mean, the idea of what they're doing right now with the autonomous vehicle. I'm looking at the microtransit, but I think what's also important is to try to also figure out how do we increase our services within the areas we already serve while trying to handle the expansion that's going to happen. So it's a balance. I'm excited by the major initiative of the service choices that UTA is going through. We find that as a good opportunity to provide a foundation for future bus planning services going forward. It's very important with the service choices model to understand exactly how do you lay that foundation to be very productive for those people, but still providing the coverage that you need. And I think that's something that will be interesting to see how the Board of Trustees just sort of balance that with, I think, recommendations from the staff and the work that's been done. We have a great board of trustees who is really working closely with all the stakeholders, the 86 cities in this region. I think what's going to be critical is for them to work closely with me and my team to try to figure out how do we deliver the mission that they have established for UTA.